ghastly ghouls, blood-sucking vampires, and spooky skeletons. That's right, everyone, it's Spooktober, one of the most frightening and fun parts of the year. Not only do we get to celebrate a hauntingly sweet Halloween, but it's also the birthday of my amazing co-creator, Janos. Let's all wish this vicious vampire a happy birthday. To celebrate this time of year, Janos and I have decided to regale upon some of the spooky content that we thought you all would enjoy. After searching through the ancient tombs and secret archives of weird animated Halloween movies, we came across a movie that honestly terrified me, but not in the traditional sense. Nay, instead of spooky specters or ghastly ghouls, this movie gave me a horrific voice acting and a repulsive ripoff of another movie. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is not for the faint of heart. For those brave enough to venture forward and join me today, my name is Fabio, and welcome to my Halloween special on the most hauntingly, heinous, blood-curdling, boorish, bad Halloween movie, Halloween Family.
Oh my god! Why is it so terrible?
Let me be clear, no one should ever watch this movie. It's marred with so many weird decisions and lazy designs that it made it unbearable to watch through, and I don't think the creators had much love for it either. Despite being released back in 2019, it looks like it was a poorly made game on the GameCube or some weird knockoff console. The box art itself is wildly misleading, to make things more mischievous. Larry the Zombie and Fred the Mummy look far more likable and colorful in this box art, but the movie gives us this, oh god, no. Oh no, they absolutely nailed Fred. This is actually legit, genuinely terrifying. And what was more terrifying than having to look at this CGI monstrosity for over an hour and a half was having to listen to him speak.
A long bath by candlelight. Oh, I'd soak for hours, maybe even days.
Ugh, and that's just the start of it. Other than maybe the Wicked Witch of the Dead, all of the voice acting in this movie was just gruesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first several minutes were hysterical, and I was amazed that such a silly movie even existed. But that charm soonly faded as the movie quickly soured into a strange experience that was meant to suck away all of my time, like some time vampire. The movie only really ever shows like 4 or maybe 5 different backgrounds and settings, which are just reused awkwardly over and over. Which is a shame because while some looked well made and quite pleasant, however, many of these scenes are just the same cut and paste animation of Fred and Larry walking through the same area over and over for well over like 10 to 20 minutes. That coupled with the abysmal camera angles they used, constantly spinning around characters and conversation, even started to make me feel uncomfortable. Oftentimes the camera will pan to a non-speaking character during a scene, and their lifeless, weird, corpse-like face never conveys the appropriate emotion to what's going on. After a while, it sort of makes you feel like you're going crazy. The characters never really do much of anything, but sort of stand around like NPCs, or awkwardly walk forward. Much of the action that actually happens is implied off screen. Realizing what we had strapped himself into, my roommate quickly passed that on the couch, only to leave me wander aimlessly further into the nightmare of what barely connected the plot of this movie. Okay, so Fred and Larry, tired of being terrifying creatures of the night and only being confined to the town of Halloween World, yeah, it's really confusing, that's a name for the town, the two stupidly could get convinced to go on a quest by the boogeyman. The only thing that scared me about this guy was how much I couldn't stand listening to him speak for more than a minute.
Thanks, boys. I know I put on a savage front, but it's nice to be appreciated. It's hard work being the boogeyman. No, I'll bet. I mean, I want to scare the whole world in one go, you know. But I just can't. So many victims, so little time.
Oh, God. The boogeyman tells him of the tale of Ghoul, an evil tree beyond the path of the dead that will grant any wish to those who find him on Halloween night. The cowardly duo somehow managed to muster up the courage and set forth down the yellow brick road right past a lawsuit. Yeah, the movie just takes a little more than inspiration from The Wizard of Oz as they bump into the Wicked Witch of the Dead. which is basically the same thing as saying Wicked Witch of the West. I also have to stop everything and mention that her henchman here, this little weird dude named Pins, has the ability to use his sixth sense, which allows him to open his third eye. So wait, you mean to tell me that this little weird whatever he is, can just reach spiritual enlightenment, which somehow gives him semi-omniscience, and this is never once addressed?
My sixth sense was tingling like mad, so I opened my third eye and saw something I think you'll find interesting.
What do you mean opens his third eye? I can't even with this. Anyways, Pins informs the witch that the two have set out on the path of the dead, which is technically the witch's own territory. Despite moving at what would be considered a light brisk walk, or maybe even a nice stroll, this sends the witch into a frenzy as she exclaims at the insanely unmatched speeds of the two that blaze through her domain. She haphazardly assumes they've come to Asgul to grant them a way to kill her, and she sends a league of her most fearsome allies after the two. Now we meet the washed-up Dracula and the most gentlemanly Frankenstein's monster. I mean, the interaction with these two could not have been more pathetic and boring. Both of them politely ask the two in some fashion to stop their journey. The two nervously decline after some not so discreetly loud and long conversation. And then the bad guys just let them go with not so much as a how do you do. I mean, I get that the team maybe didn't have enough budget to animate these lifeless creeps, but they could have done at least made any attempt to do anything with these exchanges. No wonder my roommate passed out. The duo cross paths with Big Head, this guy with the rotting pumpkin head that so desperately wants a fresh new pumpkin so that people will stop leaving him due to his hideous odor. Hooray. Lastly, if you haven't already guessed, yes, this movie ends up just much like The Wizard of Oz. And no, that's not a spoiler, that movie is like 81 years old. The ghoul ends up not being real and is instead a vampire bat hiding inside the tree. However, the gang realizes that their wish had already come true, because they had the power of friendship, etc., whatever, you've heard the story before. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, there's this random rapping skeleton named Rattles that somehow convinced himself that he could simply dance a little bit and summon demons, and this is also never addressed. There are a ton of random unexplained instances like this that are almost comical at how poorly explained and executed they are. In the end, with the power of friendship, they beat the witch, because her power for some explained reason is only based on fear.
It's all yours, kid. I'm giving up pretending to lead a battier kind of life. Playing ghoul has been a real hoot, but I miss night flying.
The three return to Halloween World to the same town that we saw for a good 30 minutes of the movie earlier, and in an incredibly weird shift in tone, the boogeyman shows up again with his obnoxious voice and tells them of all the great evil and murdering they had missed while they were out adventuring. Now, I usually really enjoy dark humor a fair amount, but the comedy and timing just never really stuck well for me in this movie, and everything clashed together in such an abominable way. Overall, the Halloween Family is a lazy, off-putting, and monstrously bad excuse for a movie. The constantly awkward panning camera angles made for such an uncomfortable experience, and there are too many half-baked ideas tossed in there to make for a cohesive plot. Character designs were passable at best, and are coupled with some of the most abysmal voice acting that I have ever experienced. The only true spooky thing about this movie was how bad it was, and the knowledge knowing that I've spent several hours now editing a video about it. I am unclear what was intended with this movie, or the decisions that came to create such a bizarrely bone-chilling bad movie. But there's not one thing that I do know for certain: please don't watch this movie. It nearly killed me. Thank you so much for joining us for a Halloween special. We hope you stay safe, binge on a lot of candy, and have a great and spooky night. Take care, and we'll see you next time.